Hello everyone, it's Sunsets,
And I'm Chica.
and we are here at the Bartram Trail, and we are making this video because we were tagged by the Texas Hikeaholics.
Who are really cool people on YouTube. You should check them out. So this is a get to know us video, which we thought was a great idea anyway because we have some new subscribers and some people might not really know about us or our history. And we're just going to dive into some odd questions about us. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and most of our videos center around an adventure, either hiking the Appalachian Trail or the Camino or building a hostel. So this is more of a get to know us personally.
Yep. Okay, so let's do a brief history of us.
Okay.
We got married in 1995 in Dallas. Greg's dad married us. And we then started our first adventure together, which was moving to Denver. We lived in Denver for 2 years, and it was awesome. We loved it. We actually got into a little bit of hiking then. And then we moved back to Dallas. We both had really good job offers at the time, and we just thought it was meant to be because, you know, money.
So we each built careers in Dallas. I was the manager of a litigation support company.
And I worked in commercial title insurance. And we actually, even before we got married, we found out that we worked in the same high-rise building downtown. I was on the 47th floor.
I was on 44.
So we actually had seen each other, or he had seen me in the elevator bank before we even got to know each other. But anyway, that's a story for another time. So yeah, we worked in Dallas for 20 years, and then
Because of things going on with my job and health, because of the amount of hours I was working with my job, we decided to make a change. And after much consideration and much discussion on what that change would be, we decided to sell everything we had and move to Costa Rica with 9 suitcases worth of stuff.
which was very crazy and our first kind of out there decision, but it turned out to be the best decision of a lifetime. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, it's really amazing that we made it there because Jen is much more pragmatic than I am. I'm much more of a dreamer, and for us to come together and decide, hey, Central America sounds pretty cool, was pretty incredible.
Yep. So we lived in Costa Rica for 4 years. We kind of semi-retired when we moved there. We told ourselves we didn't need to do anything to make money, but of course I couldn't really sit still. I started writing a book right away, which was my first book. We got involved in some other things. Greg got into photography. I started a bake shop. I actually had a bake shop for a little while out of my home, and then I started my jewelry business. You did some writing for...
I wrote for International Living magazine, as well as wrote my own book about assimilating into life into Costa Rica. And so we found that we had talents that we didn't know, all because we had time to pursue them.
Yep. So, and we also were hiking a lot in Costa Rica. So after 4 years, we were just kind of ready for a next adventure, you know, something different. We wanted to change stuff up.
So we were trying to figure out how to move back into the U.S. from Costa Rica, but we didn't know what we were going to do, where we were going to live, or anything like that. So we decided to hike the Appalachian Trail after some discussion and hiking a lot in Costa Rica. We figured the trail would give us 6 months to talk about what we were going to do and where we were going to live.
And it did give us a lot of time to talk.
Lots of time to talk.
But we really loved it. You all know, I think, that it was the experience of a lifetime. We just had a blast, even though it was the type of fun, because it was a lot of work every day, and we didn't really think it was fun until like after we were done with the whole thing.
Yeah, but every day was an achievement. Every day you got through 10 or 15 miles or 20 miles, we felt good about what we did, but every day was hard as well.
Yeah. So after that, we wrote another book. We wrote our first book together through hiking the Appalachian Trail, 100 Tips. And then we did some house sitting in Michigan for a couple who hiked the Appalachian Trail. And then we went to Spain and did the 500-mile Camino de Santiago, which was its own experience, totally different than the AT. We loved it.
But it's different. It's less of a
Totally
physical feat than cultural and historical, culinary, and winery.
Yeah.
Whining.
Lots of good food and wine. That's really cheap.
Yeah.
It was
a lot of fun. Yeah. Then we decided while we were on the AT, we decided that we wanted to open a hostel. Over the 6 months we were on the AT, we had lots of discussions about what the ideal hostel was for us. And so we started building this in our minds. And by the time we summited Katahdin, we were pretty much focused on a hostel being the next thing that we really wanted to do with our lives.
Yep. So we'll get back to the hostel later. Now let's dive into some more kind of eclectic questions about ourselves. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So what is your favorite food?
Okay, so I have two favorite foods. I grew up in Texas, in Dallas, in San Antonio, and Mexican food. I could eat Mexican food every single day.
You could.
And the second one is from our time in Spain. I loved having all the cured meats. I ate those almost every day. They're just delicious.
So my favorite food is basically anything with pesto on it. I love like pizza with pesto or pesto pasta. I love making my own pesto. I love Asiago bagels. It's one of my favorite things. And Greg says I really like salads. Like he says I get really excited when I have a really good salad.
Oh my God, that salad was so good.
Which I didn't even know, but I guess I do. Like I made my own Caesar dressing the other day and it really is so good and I keep going on and on about it. Okay, what is your favorite drink?
Non-alcoholic would be iced tea. Alcoholic would be a nice smooth bourbon.
Over ice?
Over ice.
Mine is coffee and wine. I like all different kinds of wine. I like, for reds, I like a really good Pinot Noir. And whites, I like Sauvignon Blanc. And I even like white Zinfandel.
Right on. So
this video is not all about food, but what is your favorite trail food, like when we're hiking on the trail?
You know, it was amazing to me how quickly I got an aversion to certain foods, nor-rice-sides, the Idahoan potatoes. But one thing was consistent. I never lost my love for beef jerky. I could eat it every single day on the trail and never be sad.
Yeah. What about, is that total, or do you have a snack or anything? Like
no.
Candy? No.
I guess, what are those, Sour Patch Kids?
Oh, yeah.
Those were really good. Or anything gummy bears.
Mm-hmm. So I really liked Triscuits and cheese on the trail. And for snacks, I really got into the Sweet Tart Minis. They're really good, like these little tiny Sweet Tart balls that are sweet and sour. They're really good. And Jolly Rancher candy, I really like that. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to switch gears to gear, but still talking about the trail. We've hiked both the Appalachian Trail and the Camino de Santiago. So, Chica, what was your favorite piece or pieces of gear?
I'd have to say my snot rag. I loved. It's just this little piece of cloth that I hung on a carabiner from my shoulder strap, and I use it to wipe my nose. My nose runs a lot, like when it's a little chilly out or when I'm working really hard, so basically every day on the AT. Also, you can use it for wiping sweat. It has like two different sides of the cloth. One is more absorbent and one is more smooth. And I would wipe sweat away or from my face. So yeah, I just loved it. I used it all the time. It was so handy, and you just throw it in the wash to wash it. I also really liked my buff, because this one actually, because I used it for like a headband every day, and it kept my greasy hair under wraps. I could put it down over my ears if it was cold, which actually even worked better than wearing like a beanie, because I have to have my ears all the way covered when it's cold, or else wind gets in them. And I used it for a pillowcase at night over my air pillow. So yeah, lots of uses for the buff.
And for me, favorite pieces of gear are those that are consistently good. They don't fail on the trail. They fit me or fit my body perfectly. And I'm the type of person who does not like to switch out gear unless I need something new. And then I really hate the process of trying to figure out what I like. So once I find something, it's what it is, unless my body changes or unless the manufacturer changes the makeup. So I have two pieces of gear. The first is Lucky Cork Light trekking poles. They saved my butt literally hundreds of times on the AT. Lucky has a wonderful lifetime warranty. The company's easy to work with for a warranty claim, and the cork light is discontinued, so it's about half price now if you can find them on the internet. My second one is La Sportiva Wildcats, which they're already starting to change up from when I hiked the AT a little bit, but they haven't changed it enough to where they still don't feel good on my feet. You know, we went into REI and I swore I was going to get Salomon shoes because I had read so many things about how great they were, and immediately upon trying on Salomons I said, nope, they're not right for me. Same thing with La Sportiva. As soon as I put them on, is like the Goldilocks fit is like, this is just right. And I've put a lot of miles, 2,200 on the AT and then 500 on the Camino on them, plus a bunch of training, and I'll never use another shoe.
Also, can I add one?
Yeah.
Justin's water bottle holder, I loved, and you did too.
I do too, and that goes on every trip and every training hike.
It makes the water so handy to have it right here on the shoulder strap. You just take your water bottle, chug, put it back in, instead of having it on the side, which is just kind of hard. In my case, it was very hard to get to my water bottle back there. I couldn't do it by myself. So that thing, totally lightweight. I just loved it. And
they're super durable. They lasted the entire AT. And then I used a separate one for the Camino.
What is something you hate to do?
What is something I hate to do? I hate, this is going to sound kind of weird, but I hate to do something that's required of me with a time frame. I don't do...
So basically, anytime I ask him to do something.
Well, it's not just you though. But you know, so I had a very responsible career. I was responsible for up to 45 employees, and I took that responsibility on, and I hit it head on. Once I left that career and moved to Costa Rica, I learned to relax a little bit. And maybe a little bit too much. So now, if I have to do something within a time frame that's pressing, especially, and it's something I don't deem super important, it drives me nuts.
So anytime I ask him to do something now, he's always like, when does it need to be done?
What do you hate to do?
I can't think of anything for that. Not anything that I really hate to do.
Yeah.
So, okay, are we introverts or extroverts?
I'm a little bit of both. I enjoy talking with people, but I also enjoy leaving that conversation and going home. I can be shy when there's a large group. I'm much better one-on-one, and I can be awkward in certain social situations. But I recharge most thinking on my own, in my own space, or reading a book. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of both. What about you?
I'm pretty much an introvert, but not like 100% introvert. I'm not like totally shy or painfully shy. I do like being with other people. The smaller the group, the better. And I can't do it like all day long. Like if we're doing something social with a bunch of other people all day long, that'll pretty much wear me out. I need to go home and recharge. Probably 4 or 5 hours is my max, unless I'm with like family and very comfortable. So yeah, I like to be by myself. I'm totally happy in this quarantine time, just hanging out at home. I find stuff to do all the time to keep myself busy, and I like being with Greg, like being at home. Yeah, so that's me, an introvert. What makes you uncomfortable?
Questions about being uncomfortable? Not really much. I guess I'm not good with conflict. I've taken some personality profiles, quiz type things, and I'm like, I can see both sides of issues. That's my personality, and because that when there is an argument, I usually step back a little bit, and I can understand where both people are coming from, which is really crazy in this time of political polarity. But I shy away from conflict.
But that's also what makes you a really great person, is you can see both sides of the situation.
Sure.
A lot of times, I think. So for me, what makes me uncomfortable is pretty much the only thing I can think of is like being the center of attention. I don't like that at all. I get just nervous and clam up, and I basically can't talk. So yeah, I don't like being the center of attention.
All right, so what do you like to do besides hiking?
Well, for me, for me, I like playing the piano. I love reading, both books and ebooks. I always have like a list of books I want to read, and I really enjoy reading. I like doing like research on recipes, kind of putting different recipes together and trying things out in the kitchen. Or like anything, like whatever our next adventure is, I like just researching it and doing spreadsheets and trying to be organized and doing a budget. And I also like doing like our budget and, looking at the numbers and stuff like that. You?
I too like to read. I like to think. It's just, it seems like I'm just sitting there in a chair, but I'm actually thinking through, and I've usually fallen down some rabbit hole of some subject, and I just like to dig in and then contemplate it. That's enjoyable for me. I love music. Back in the day, I loved live music, but now I listen to a lot of music, and I try to discover new artists that I like through YouTube. Those are pretty much it.
Tell me something that most people don't know about you.
Well, back in the day, I was a skater. I used to skate a lot, and I was quite good at it.
Ice skating, or
no,
let's clarify.
No, skateboarding. Yes. So, and I grew up in Dallas, so there was a pretty good skate scene when I was a teenager, and I got to meet people like Jeff Phillips and who else? Couple of local guys that were Texas skaters that were well known at the time. So it was kind of cool.
Cool. I once won a hula hoop contest. I think I hula hooped for like 2 hours, and I won a cash prize. That's pretty cool. Not a particular talent, but hey. I gave a classical piano recital in college, which that was pretty huge for me. It was like 1 hour, all classical music. I minored in music in college, and that was just like a really big achievement for me. I couldn't believe I did it. So that was really cool. And we also ran a marathon together.
We did.
One time only in
That's enough.
1998. It was really fun and hard.
Yeah. So you might want to know what's on our bucket list. What do you think that would be, babe?
Well, our bucket list mainly revolves around hiking. So we do have some little trails that are kind of on our bucket list, like the Bartram Trail we'd like to do, the Benton Mackay Trail. What other little trails? Oh, you'd like to do the PCT.
Yep,
That's a big trail.
PCT is on my bucket list for sure.
And the Colorado Trail is on our current bucket list.
Very soon
Yeah.
bucket list.
So we're actually training for that, and depending on the state of the world and the virus and everything, we'll see if we can get that in this year or if we'll need to wait till next year, because we would love to do that. It's 500 miles, and we don't know exactly how long it'll take us, but like maybe
5 or 6 weeks,
Yeah. So, and we love to do the Grand Canyon. We love to, and we've both never seen
No.
or been in the Grand Canyon, so that would be super cool. And then I'd like to go to Italy at some point, and I think it'd be great if we could incorporate a hiking trip with that.
For sure, yeah.
Kind of like, I always thought it was cool when you hear about people backpacking through Europe, you know? So that could be us.
Yeah, plus
Through
it's
Italy.
more economical.
Yeah.
So, one question you might ask is, what were our goals for 2020? Obviously, those have changed somewhat, but the hostel was a big part of that. And a lot of that was the 8 months or so leading up to getting the hostel ready to open. And we opened February 15th and closed basically a month and a week later because of concerns for spreading the coronavirus.
So let's backtrack a little bit. How did we pick Franklin to land in and do our hostel here?
There's a couple answers to that. Franklin was actually on our radar when we were deciding to move from Costa Rica back to the States. We didn't want to, we couldn't afford Asheville prices, so we were looking for smaller mountain towns, and Franklin showed up on one of those, top 10 cute outdoorsy towns that you've never heard of. And so it was on our radar outside of opening a hostel. Then when we came through in 2017, our friends had just moved here, and we stayed with them, and unfortunately, I guess, it snowed, and we had to stay a couple extra nights with them. And so we got a really good dose of what the town was, and we're like, hey, this place could fit. But it's very outdoorsy. There's for the size it is, which is about 4,000 people, there's a lot going on here. There's a live music scene, there's 2 breweries, 2 outfitters, there's fly fishing, there's cycling, there's hiking, and rafting nearby. So it's got a lot going for it.
And for me, the best part was the climate, because I'm from Wisconsin originally, so I did not want the bitter colds that we have in Wisconsin, and he's from Texas, and he did not want the super hot summers they have in Texas. So here is kind of an in-between place for us, kind of like Goldilocks again.
Yeah, there we
just
go.
Kind of the perfect place climate-wise. So we're both really enjoying it here. We've just surpassed being here a year, and we both really like it so far.
Yep. So how did we first come up with the idea to run a hostel? It's kind of an odd business.
Yeah, so we didn't think of it until we were into our thru hike on the Appalachian Trail, and we started staying at quite a few hostels. So we started, just because we have lots of time on the trail each day to talk, we'd start talking about what we really liked about some of the hostels we stayed at and some things we really didn't like. And it kind of evolved to kind of playing a game like, well, if we had a perfect hostel, if we did a hostel ourselves, what would it be? What would the perfect hostel be for Chica and Sunsets? So the more we got talking about it, we're like, well, why don't we do this? We're trying to figure out what we want to do next. Why don't we open a hostel for hikers? So that's how it kind of evolved.
Yeah, and some of those things that we as an older married couple doing the Appalachian Trail, and when I say older, I mean older than the majority of people who are hiking, we had certain desires that we didn't see in a lot of hostels. And one of those things was no bunk beds. We wanted to have, in our perfect hostel, regular sized beds. We wanted to have more space per hiker and not have that long line of 10 people waiting for the shower or the toilet when the toilet is with the shower, because there's only one shower available. We wanted to have a space where the hikers were separate from the owners. And so when we decided to move to Franklin, we started looking for property, and we came across
this duplex,
a duplex,
which we ended up buying. When I first saw it, I was like, no way. I turned around and walked out.
I think it was more like no way in hell.
Yeah, it was so dirty and nasty, and after I saw the bathroom, it was just no. But after thinking about it and knowing that we could do a lot of the work ourselves, which we did do, we've cleaned up both the upstairs and the downstairs, which the hostel is downstairs, and it's amazing now. But we did put in a lot of work, and that was basically a good portion of our year of 2019 was just working ourselves to death on the hostel.
Yeah, but we're very happy.
Yeah,
and so now
it's
we
worth
have
it.
yeah, we have a piece of property that is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath upstairs, which is our residence. And then downstairs, hikers have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath for only 4 hikers, full kitchen with brand new appliances, a brand new floor, brand new hot water heater,
Brand new bathroom walls.
yeah. So it's a really nice, relaxing respite from the trail.
Yep. This first year, even though we were open only 5 weeks, I have to say it's been great so far. Have you liked it?
Yeah, it's great to interact with all the hikers. Some have experience, most do not. Coming through, and those that don't, it's great to interact with them and help allay some of their concerns maybe, or just give them a little pump up. And it's great interacting with hikers, and we feel like we're hikers ourselves again.
Yeah.
On the trail. It's
like
awesome.
We're part of the community again. It's weird because when we did our through hike, obviously that's one thing we really liked, was being part of the hiker community, which is, it just seems totally different than anything else. But then after our hike, like after we moved back to Franklin, the first time we got back on the Appalachian Trail, it was just like such an energy rush for us. Like, oh my God, we're here by the White Blaze again. Oh my God, there's a through hiker.
There's a through hiker, oh my God.
We were just like ecstatic. But we felt kind of outside of the community, you know, like this is something we did and we just missed it so bad. So this way, we now feel like we're enmeshed in that community again, and it's just been a great feeling. We love being a part of it.
Yep. So, Texas Hikeaholics, thanks for tagging us.
Thanks for tagging us.
It was fun talking about us a little bit.
Yeah. So, we are going to tag 3 people. We are tagging Campfire Confidential,
Camper 2020,
and Hiking O'Hurley.
Tag, you're it.
Tag, you're it. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.